Good evening and welcome to Father Manny's Daily Prayer Channel. I'm going to have to change a little bit of the format. I have been recording both my prayer and my sermon separately, and I'm finding, because I am new to YouTube and know very little about this process, that my prayers have been going to shorts and my sermons have been going to my regular videos. So I'm going to try it differently today. I'm going to do my sermon first, and I'm going to follow it with a prayer in the same recording. This way my prayer will not end up, because of its length of time, or I should say the lack thereof, be put into shorts. Today we're going to do a sermon on a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and it is about parental abuse. It is a tremendous thing that many children struggle with, particularly today. But I'm from the old country, and in the old country, old people behaved like crazy loonies sometimes. And I mean, I did not find out until I was having a liver transplant 5 years ago that every bone in my spine had cracks in it that had healed, of course, but nevertheless, that's how severe my beatings were as a little kid. And I really had a near nervous breakdown when I was informed of this, because when I realized that that was the only possibility, I will simply say that my father had already been dead approximately 30 years. And here I was being told about physical damage still appearing on my body after all these years of his being gone from this plane. So, I'm going to start my little talk, and I will be reading from my papers because it's a slightly longer sermon than normal for me. As you will notice, some of them are short and some of them will be a little longer, depending on their importance. And child abuse, no matter what age the child is always an important topic in my, well, certainly close to my heart, for obvious reasons. And I would be more than happy to have a discussion with anyone who wants to unburden themselves of, the tragedy of having suffered through that. I can be reached at fathermanuel@aol.com, or you can leave a comment here. And I have no problem having a discourse via email. So, let us begin. Today, as we gather to speak of something that weighs heavily on the hearts of many, is parental abuse. It's a difficult subject, one that brings pain, anger, and sometimes shame. No child should suffer at the hands of those meant to love and protect them. And that's a fact. No person should have to carry the scars of their past alone. But as we stand together in this place of reflection, I ask you to open your hearts, not only to your pain, but also to the possibility of healing, to the complexity of human suffering, and to the transformative power of compassion. And that's a key ingredient to any healing process: compassion for yourself and for your abuser. To those who have endured the wounds of abusive parents, know this: your pain is real. It's always been real. It's not something to be dismissed, minimized, or excused. Abuse, whether physical, emotional, psychological, or simple neglect, leaves marks not only on your body, but on your soul. It shapes the way we see ourselves, the way we see the world, and even the way we see love itself, or the lack thereof. Many of us struggle with conflicting emotions. We may long for the love of our parents while carrying the deep sorrow of knowing that love was often twisted, conditional, or withheld altogether. We may feel anger, betrayal, or even guilt for resenting those who should have cared for us. And these feelings are natural. It's natural to be angry at your abuser and your attacker. You're not weak for carrying those feelings, and you're not broken because you struggle. And yet we are called to something greater, compassion. Not just for ourselves, but even for those who have harmed us. This is not an easy thing to ask. How do we extend understanding to those who've caused so much suffering to us? How do we hold space for their humanity without excusing their actions? Well, compassion doesn't mean accepting mistreatment, and it doesn't mean inviting them back into your life. It just means recognizing that those who hurt us were often hurt themselves. It means understanding that pain is passed down through generations, and that broken people create more brokenness if they have not healed from their own pain and suffering. This understanding does not make their actions right. It doesn't take away your right to grieve what you have lost or never had. But it can help you release the burden of anger. It can allow you to let go, not for their sake, but for your own. Because as long as you remain angry, you're taking poison to hurt them. And you sure as hell don't deserve that poison. You need to drop that habit quickly. Forgiveness and compassion do not mean that reconciliation is always possible, or even healthy. There is a certain power in setting boundaries. I have set very many myself. If a parent refuses to change, refuses to acknowledge the harm they caused, you have every right to protect yourself. Protect yourself emotionally and physically, intellectually, psychologically, in every possible way that they may have hurt you. You are free to defend yourself. Setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-respect. They didn't respect you, which is why you were abused. They didn't respect themselves, which is why they abused you. But you are entitled to stand up for your rights as a human being. If keeping your distance is what allows you to heal, then that distance will be a gift you give to yourself. You don't need to ask permission to treat yourself well. If limited contact or firm rules around communication bring you peace, then honor those needs and give yourself the space necessary to heal from the damage they have created. You are not obligated to maintain a relationship that drains you, belittles you, or brings harm to your spirit. You're allowed to choose yourself over an unhealthy relationship. And that's something that very few people realize. Choosing yourself is not a sin. It is not a sin. It is imperative because it's a survival mode. It's how you get to the next, part of your life without the suffering. The healing does not come all at once. It's not a single decision, but a path we have to walk every day. Because we may feel guilty at trying to heal the damage. We may feel unworthy since we were told we were unworthy all that time. Maybe what you need is peace. Maybe you can find that through therapy. Maybe through prayer. Maybe it's with surrounding yourself with people who uplift and cherish your company and who love you. Maybe it's learning to reparent yourself. to give yourself the love and kindness, the patience that you did not receive, a sort of rebirthing process, so that you can grow through all of the years that you lost the things you should have had, and you're reenacting them again with the people who do love you and appreciate you and understand your needs and are willing to deliver for you. Because that's what life is about, learning to surround yourself with the important people, the ones who are willing to nurture you and whom you can nurture back. Because as you are nurtured, you learn to do the things that you missed out on. And you find joy in being able to share those same feelings with others. And you don't need to give them to the abuser. You can share them with new people who have become important in your life, who are worth your time, your effort, your companionship, your love, your affection, your devotion, and all the things that should have been natural but weren't. It's you. You're the special thing. You're the one that should have had all of this from the beginning. And then when you didn't, now is the time to collect it. And don't be afraid to collect it. And don't be afraid to have expectations from people when you form relationships, because if they're going to be abusive like the first people, just tell them, I'm busy tonight. I'm going to be with some other friends. And walk away. You don't have to apologize for taking care of yourself. The most important thing to learn is to love yourself. Abuse teaches us that we're unworthy, that love must be earned, and that we're never enough, and we'll never be enough, and that we aren't good enough. But none of it is true. It was all a lie. It was a lie, because that's what they needed to do to make themselves feel better. I had a father who was very competitive myself. Nothing I ever did was good enough. And he compared himself to me while I was 7 years old, and he was 36. So try to figure out why a man that age needed to make himself better by making a 7-year-old feel this big. I asked myself the question while I lay on the floor after his abusive comments, and said, he's 35 and I'm 7 years old. Doesn't he know that's a stupid comparison? And I was only 7 years old. You were always worthy of the love you didn't get. And you're worthy of it now. You were always enough. You were perfect the way you were born. You were born a god or a goddess because you're a piece of God himself. The Creator put you here. And you are a part of him. A part of his soul lives within you. And it's there forever. Nothing can shake it out of you. They can shake your bones in the air. It's never going to fall out. It's right here. So now you have the power. Now that you're awake, you have the power to reclaim that truth for yourself. And it's very important that you do. Because life is so much better when you are at peace with the choices you make about treating yourself well. You're picking a partner? Make sure they treat you better than you treat yourself. That's the most important part of the selection process. They have to treat you at least twice as well as you treat yourself. Because that's going to be very helpful as your relationship progresses. And it's important to keep that in mind. If they can't do that for you, well, bye, Charlie. Take the next bus home. Well, to continue. To forgive an abusive parent doesn't mean forgetting. And it does not mean allowing them and their harm to continue in your life. You have every right to say, stop right there. This is my home. That's my door you're trying to come through. And you cannot come through that door tonight. I have plans with someone else. Someone who loves me. Even if it's you. That's all you have to say. And if they don't get the message, close the door and lock it. That will let them know. Tell them, I love you, but you can't come in. Knock and click. Sorry to make it so harsh, but the truth is, tough love sometimes has to happen, even to parents. So to forgive a parent does not mean forgetting the damage they did. It doesn't mean allowing harm to continue. It means that you get to select freedom. It means you get to release the links in the chain of anger and terrible thoughts so that you can progress forward without them. It means making peace with the past so that it doesn't define your present. Because every thought you have about the past keeps you from living in the moment. It drags you back. And sure as hell you don't want that. Because then they're taking more of your life from you just through that resentment. And they don't deserve it. You deserve to be happy in the moment, every day, every moment. So my last thoughts, here's what I say. May you find the strength to set boundaries you need. Find that strength and set them. It's a requirement for your future and for your present. May you find the courage to heal, to love yourself, and to embrace the life that was meant for you. And if forgiveness feels distant, may you trust that in time, your heart will find its own way to peace. And it will. It took me 68 years. 68 years. I'll be 71 this month. That's how long it took me. That and 60 years of ongoing psychoanalysis. In Jesus, our Savior's name, amen.